Dear viewers, welcome to this YouTube channel. In this chapter, it will be an introduction. How to study this subject to study in sequence. Astrology Thai Logical Style. In general, studying Thai astrology usually takes a long time, probably several years or the rest of the lifetime. Though, this will still not cover all the content since there are many textbooks that have different methodologies. There are few people who possess a deep understanding. However, my Astrology Thai Logical Style has completely excluded different methodologies including conditions, exceptions, and other unnecessary or unclear parts. The remaining contents are all relevant and also have clear meanings. They are gathered just in this textbook only. The original horoscope, the transiting horoscope, study cases, and question and answer sessions are included. Though the time requires to master these subjects is considerable since they are complex and profound. Every word has many meanings and covers many contexts. The learners have commitment and effort to understand them. When they are understood and the main principles are memorized, it becomes much easier since looking for the condition and exceptions in the textbook will not be required. Only one mobile phone with an internet connection for calculating the natal chart and the ascendant will be enough for fortune telling. Do not forget that studying astrology is also a skill training that requires a significant amount of time to gain enough expertise. When the reader possesses the expertise, it will become uniquely personalized. It will also remain as a lifetime skill. The more experience gained, the more prominent the skills will become. This is considered very useful as a career path or making a name for oneself. From now on, suggestions and the studying methods according to this subject will be given to correctly follow them. This will make it easier for the learner to understand and memorize without being lost. It is steady and successive skill training. The methodologies are applied from the direct experience of the author as well as the experience from teaching groups of students as follows. 1. General principles and methodologies. To study this subject, keep your mind neutral and abandon all the beliefs or disbeliefs that you have first, including any bias. When studying the methodologies of this subject, do not include other methodologies from other textbooks. The reason is that it will become comparable to a situation when you are stuck inside a loop that neither has any exit nor conclusion. Have faith in these methodologies and finish the study by using your horoscope for learning purposes. Prove it by yourself, and after that you may return to the old methodologies or mix them with the new ones. This will be up to each native. There is no objection at all. Reading and studying should follow the steps. Do not go over them and do not become doubtful beforehand. Try to understand only the actual things you are studying. There are only some parts and contents that have to be remembered. They will be emphasized accordingly. Reading and studying in the basic principles will be understood and remembered piece by piece. Specifically, only the topic that is being read or studied should be focused on. Afterward, they will all be combined and mixed during the predicting session. This will become easy when these parts are well understood and remembered. The next steps will also become easy, although they will be somewhat more complicated. Reading and studying should take considerable time for the brain or the memory to adjust. It should not be rushed since the brain may become exhausted or too stressed. Therefore, it is not recommended to memorize everything at once. A practical method that is always recommended is, try not to memorize, but instead, repeat when forgotten. They can be repeated until the brain can memorize by itself. Later on, they will all be memorized without being forgotten. The textbook should be nearby. Every time there is a curiosity, it can be read a little until you get bored. Do this every day when time allows. The reading should continue forward, and when you are exhausted it should be stopped. When you start reading again, you should start by repeating things that are forgotten. From there you may continue on. This is a repetition of former things as well as continuing forward little by little without forcing memorization. Understanding is more emphasized. The studying steps may take several months to complete. There was a person who could make it within 15 days to reach the transiting horoscope chapter. I would like to guarantee that you will gain the benefits spontaneously, since it is a career skill and proficiency training that requires a certain amount of time to complete, as already mentioned. In comparison with myself that has spent over 20 years to understand, it is considered very quick already. Meanwhile, even a whole lifetime may not be enough to totally understand some subjects. 2. The steps. Your natal chart, birth chart, should be used for study purposes in every step, by using the programs on the internet or a separate program from the suggestion on the calculation of the natal chart and the ascendant in the last chapter of this textbook. They can be copied into small pieces of paper to be a complementary material to the studies in every step. Every step is emphasized. At the beginning, each zodiac sign should be pronounced to become familiarized with all of the 12 zodiac signs. Additionally, your natal chart, birth chart, can be used as a complementary tool to help with memorization. You may point your finger at each zodiac accordingly. This process may take several days to complete, and may require repetitions until the names and their locations can all be memorized. They are basic principles that will most often be used. From there, the names and the numbers of the planets has to be memorized. Check in the natal chart, birth chart, which numbers and planets are in each house. Check all the 10 planets and note them down separately. The primary meanings of the planets can be memorized first. For the bhavas, they have to be memorized as well by pronouncing all of the 12 bhavas until they are all memorized. But for pointing your finger, you should start pointing it and remember its position according to the book. This step will be more complicated, noting it down will also be more complicated. Concerning the dignities of the planets, they have to be checked in your natal chart. Compare each of them together dignity by dignity until all 10 planets are involved. Consider what dignity a planet has, what name it has, which house or bhava it is in. Note them down in every step. At the beginning it may feel troublesome, but when you have the expertise it will become easier and more natural. The next steps will require you to do similar things. When you reach a certain page or a certain topic, you will have to look back to your natal chart as a reference every time. For the dignities of the planets, the positions of domicile dignity have to be remembered first, since they will be used most often. Other dignities will not be necessary to remember just yet. They can be memorized after the predicting session, or after the completion of the study, since other matters are more important and contain more details than them. When the step of predicting the original horoscope has been reached, all the knowledge that has been studied, memorized as well as from taken notes will be considered altogether. One by one. When this step is over, it is considered quite a success already. Other details in the following chapters will be more sophisticated and complex, which will require a higher level of proficiency. When reaching the steps of predicting the original horoscope, and your horoscope has also been exemplified, evaluate the accuracy and understanding. Note down the parts that are not yet clarified as observations. The latter chapters from now on will extend and answer all these questions so they may become clearer to you. After using your horoscope as a study example, you will understand Astrology Thai Logical Style to a certain degree. The next thing is to move on to the natal chart, birth chart, of close relatives such as husband, wife, children, nephew, and friends to further develop your skills and see more variations. They will lead to increased understanding and more confidence in your abilities. At the same time, the study should continue on to the next chapters until it is completed, because there will be a chapter that extends the meanings of the planets, etc. Predicting the transiting planets based on case studies including question and answer sessions are all gathered in great numbers. Besides, the meanings of the planets and different principles that have been mentioned in this textbook are extremely complex. Try to remember them as much as possible, since they will become unlimited useful and applicable later on. After the basics are correctly understood, the studies can be continued accordingly. Please stay tuned for the upcoming episodes.